Good morning, everybody. It is your host, Patricia. I want to welcome you to this episode of The Dialogue. Yes, we are talking about the ultimate, the most important aspect that I believe in life that will help you to change your perspective, help you change the trajectory in your life. Yes, we are talking about forgiveness, but before we get into it, I want to thank everyone that has subscribed to become a follower of the podcast. Thank you so much for your support. And I hope that the content that we are releasing is helping you on your everyday journey through life. As you know, the dialogue stands for we are changing lives one conversation at a time. So it is my hope that as I share this with you, you are taking it with you on your day, maybe having an opportunity to speak with someone else about it so that it can also impact them, you to dialogue and share your insight that you receive from the podcast. So I pray that it blesses you and that it helps you to obtain whatever it is that you need to obtain in your life, whether it's peace, whether it's joy, whether it's forgiveness or forgiveness for others. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. So a couple of days ago, I did a podcast. It was called The Necessity and Difficulty of Forgiveness. So today, I want to flip the script. We're going to be talking about if you are the person that has caused offense to someone else. And so the other day, the podcast was about offense. If you have been offended, how forgiveness and healing and letting things and people go can aid you in not just your mental journey, but also your inner person. And I think a lot of you have known and come to understand that oftentimes unforgiveness can even cause illness or sicknesses. I want to make a reference to somebody. It was a young man on the internet. I don't want to say his name because he got into a side of spirituality that I don't necessarily support. But he was basically saying that when he was not forgiving, his body was locking up and breaking down. But when he started to forgive and or be himself and allow himself the space to simply be who he was, he didn't have those issues anymore. And I support that portion of his message, okay? And so on this specific podcast, we're going to talk about if you are the one that has offended someone else, steps and tools that will help you navigate through the offense and also to ultimately come to the point of forgiving yourself. Okay, so anybody knows that unforgiveness is not healthy. What it does is it causes just a rumination of thoughts and concepts and ideas in your mind, and it can affect your everyday life. Okay, but how many of us know that not only have we been offended by people, we oftentimes offend other people? Because people, I consider people to be like a puzzle. There are so many different pieces. I've heard it said that in a day, a person can think up to 6,000 thoughts in a day. That's without their permission. So just imagine how many thoughts a person can think while they're scrolling through social media. If they have a problem, if there's something that they need to fix or get done, that is a lot of thoughts. So when you are conversing or conversating with someone, say for instance, you may have said something to them and it was a joke, but you didn't know that at the time they were thinking about this specific thing and it really hurt their feelings. And they became offended. And it was something that was really, really personal to them. However, they never stated it to you. And now they're treating you different. They're ignoring you. You feel rejected. You feel slighted. You feel unwelcomed. Offense happens all the time. This is why I believe that Jesus said to forgive 70 times 7. Because a lot of times we are offending people without even knowing. Now I'll get to the other spectrum when you're offending people on purpose. Maybe I'll do a completely different podcast about that. When you're offense or you're hurting people intentionally. Yeah, I think we will. I think I'll have to dissect that and unpack that a lot. But if you are someone that has offended someone, and this is where maturity comes into play, This is where adulting comes into play. For one, it is hard to know you have offended someone if they don't openly talk to you about it. Because what I am learning is that nowadays people are offended and they're walking around with this pain, with this hurt, but they haven't given a title to it. They haven't given a name to it. They haven't did their adulting and came and talked to the person and let them know, hey, you offended me. You hurt my feelings. And so what happens is you're around people all the time that are offended or feel some type of way. And what I notice a lot of times is that when people feel offended by you, and I'm talking about something that you did that you didn't know that you did in the beginning, but you start to feel the heaviness in the friendship, the heaviness in the relationship. So it becomes apparent over time that something you did hurt that person's feelings, something you did made them feel a certain type of way, something you did made them not prefer you as a person. And so what happens is people that are offended and don't have the ability to speak up for themselves, what they do is they start to do little things in their behavior, talk about you, make jeering comments towards you, say things that hurt your feelings. And what is called passive. Now, there's passive and then there's passive aggressive. Passive is a person that just won't speak up for themselves. They won't say anything. But a passive about what happened, they won't say anything about what happened. But a passive aggressive person, they won't say anything about what happened. But what they'll do is they will say things to you that will hurt you. It's kind of like a subliminal message for them to give you some type of indication that they're hurt. But instead of them just coming out and telling you, instead of them just coming out and vocalizing, and like we said, doing the adulting thing, communicating with you, what they'll do is they'll make you feel bad about things. They'll talk about you. They'll even talk about you to other people. They'll do things behind your back. Sometimes they'll do things right in front of your face. They will try to destroy your life. They will try to character assassinate you, which means they'll tell lies. They'll bring up sensitive things about you. They will try to intentionally hurt your feelings. I mean, and what it is the whole time they're doing this on the inside, they're getting like a sensation of laughter. And they do it because they're hurt, but ultimately it's not bringing them any type of peace. What they are doing is they're just trying to get back at you for what you did, but they don't understand that now they're the prisoner and you're free because you don't even know what you did. Listen to me. This is coming from the perspective of you not knowing what you did. But some of us over time come to the point where we understand because we watch behavior, we listen to conversation. There's something that you did to hurt them, disappoint them, anything that has caused them any type of offense. The bad part about it is that some relationships that are really awesome, that just need time for cultivation or get to know a person, can be salvaged and or saved through communication. Sometimes when I'm in prayer, I will pray, Lord, forgive me of my trespasses, sins, iniquities, all those good things. I'll tell him, Lord, I forgive anybody else that has sinned against me. But I will also say, Lord, let them, if I've offended anybody, let them forgive me. Because you have to realize offense happens often. I don't believe that it's something that people just try to do. People can get offended by you because you dress nice, because you have a standard, because you want to live a certain type of way. And using that, I'm going to refer to the story about the young girl, Shanquella Robinson. That story hurt my heart so bad to see this girl full of life and zest and a pioneer and an entrepreneur annihilated because her lifestyle, who she was, offended other people. They were offended because of this type of woman that she was. It wasn't even apparent if she ever said anything or did anything to hurt their feelings. No one ever said that. Well, actually, I'm sorry. One young man did allude to her doing something that hurt one of her friends. And this is why I am trying to give you warning signs if you are dealing with people that are passive aggressive, that are very cunning and sly. Because what happens is, over time, if people don't have the propensity to forgive, you become their target. You become their target. They try to destroy your life. They try to do so many things just to make you pay. I mean, nowadays, people are so easily offended. This is where the cancel culture comes in. You offend someone and you hurt them, they cancel you. They bring a slew of people against you to try and harm you, whether it's through words or making you feel like you don't fit in or making you feel like you're weird or that you're not significant or important. But I'm coming on here to tell you this because ultimately that person needs grace. Because in order for a person to do that, to bring several people against you or try to destroy you, it shows their level of immaturity to be able to come to that person as an adult and or person to acknowledge what you did hurt my feelings. And sometimes when people's feelings are hurt, they won't even go backwards to say, well, I did this towards you because my feelings were hurt. They won't even acknowledge that, yes, you might initially offended them. However, what they did was they continued to offend. And so that's a tricky place to be in. But if you are a person that believes in the power of forgiveness and letting people go and bringing resolution, God says that we should reconcile with our brother. This is something that is imperative. I've had many situations where I've done things out of immaturity, where I've done things out of not knowing something, where I've done things and God later told me, okay, you shouldn't have did that. Or the thing about it is that oftentimes God is more gracious and loving than people. He is more gracious and loving and forgiving than people. And because sometimes people are so quick to want to be upset, sometimes because of their lifestyle and things that have happened to them and things that have taken place, what happens is that they have to drag someone else through the mud with them. They have to drag somebody else with them. Some people say they have to throw this person under the bus. But after a while, when you're a mature adult, there are so many other things that you need to pay attention to and tend to. Those things are so minor, but people make them so major that it destroys friendships and relationships, that it destroys partnerships and businesses because someone said something or did something that hurt someone's feelings, but the other person doesn't have the capacity to talk about it. So, first of all, I want to say, if you are the person on this end of the spectrum who has been mentally, verbally, emotionally abused because you said something to someone that hurt their feelings that they're not able to talk about, my prayers are with you, because I am really learning as I sit and watch people that we ourselves, because of our flesh, as well as the enemy, has a way of causing us to do and or say exactly what would offend another person. And so time goes past, these people are mad, they're upset, and so many other thoughts and feelings creep in that they don't give voice to. And it destroys because people don't know how to communicate. I had a conversation with someone the other day. It was a man, and it was so interesting because, they were expressing to me what they like, what they prefer, what they want. And I just simply thought about it like, but you don't care what women want. You haven't asked, what do you like? What do you prefer? What are you into? And that is exactly how some people that are offended are. They don't want you to be able to have an opportunity to explain because they just want to stay mad. They don't want to give you time, room, and space to grow. They just would prefer to stay mad. They don't want to be forgiving. They want to win the battle. A battle sometimes that you yourself don't even know that you're in. I look at people, as I said, as puzzles. So many pieces can fit together, but so many pieces don't fit. You have to try over and over and over and over. And sometimes when you're dealing with people and they don't want to be adults, what ultimately happens is that you end up letting them go. You let them go because it can be so exhausting dealing with people that are just adamant about not forgiving. But what happens is once you let them go, and like I said, this is why I always pray for people that have offended, because sometimes you really just don't know. And you give God time and space and room to deal with the other person. You let go and you pray for them. You pray for their heart. You pray for their mind. You pray for their perspective. And you ask God to show them light in the area where they have put the darkness, because some people will literally sit there and say they did that on purpose. You did that on purpose. But if they never talk to you, they will never know if you did it on purpose or not. And so what ends up happening is that you come to this place where you let go, you pray for them. I'm going to even go so far to say you pray for people that you're not even 100% sure that you have offended. I'm going to go so far to say maybe at the beginning of our day, we should be praying for people just on the notion of having to deal with people every day, that we would not offend them and that what we would do or say or be around them and communicate would not be offensive. Now, I am not talking about being around people that you walk on eggshells all the time. You can't be yourself. I just feel like maybe sometimes in those situations, you probably shouldn't try to be around them if you know they're easily offended, because you'll end up having to not talk as much, not be yourself. That's exhausting as well. But for those people that have been offended, there needs to come a time of maturity where you're able to sit down and talk and communicate and express why you were offended. Now, this person does not have to agree with you, because you're two different people with two different minds. But it's very helpful if you get to explain your side of the story. If you get to express how you feel about what happened. If you are the person that has been offended, I recommend that you go back and listen to the previous podcast, The Difficulty and Necessity of Forgiveness. If you are the person that feels that you have forgiven someone, I want to say pray for them. Pray for them. Pray that the situation brings them to the point of maturity that they're able to talk about it. Pray that they come to the point of maturity where they're able to forgive and let go. Pray for that person. And then if you have done something to hurt someone else and you were not intentional, but you see that it caused a lot of pain, I'm going to say that you need to pray to forgive yourself. Because many people don't understand. People that have been offended, they walk around and think about it. But the person that caused the offense, sometimes they also walk around and think about what they have done wrong, how they could have fixed it. They wish that they wouldn't have said it. They wish that they wouldn't have did it. They wish they could get time back or their relationship back. And so you yourself as the person also have to extend forgiveness to yourself. Okay, so these were just a couple little gems that I wanted to get on and share. I guess I'm doing a segment about forgiveness. It just kind of came up. And so I'll probably do a couple more, but I hope that this one actually blessed someone, that it encouraged someone, that you found it helpful. I hope that you share it with someone, that you're inspired by the podcast and the insight that has been being revealed. Stay tuned. We're going to keep coming with more content. I hope that you guys have an amazing day, that you enjoy today, that you have fun. Know that you are appreciated, loved, and significant. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you later.